Are you diabetic, eating healthy, and still gaining weight? What if I told you the very foods you've been told are safe are silently keeping your insulin high and blocking your body from burning fat? Here's what's really going on inside your body. It's not about eating less. It's not about exercising more. It's about one hormone, insulin. And if you don't control it, your body literally cannot lose weight, no matter how hard you try. In today's video, I'm going to show you a science-backed diabetic weight loss diet plan that doesn't just manage blood sugar, it reprograms your metabolism to burn fat again. And by the end, you'll know exactly what to eat, when to eat, and what to completely avoid to finally take control of your weight and your diabetes. If you've been struggling despite doing everything right, this might be the missing piece. Let's break it down. Are you eating healthy, cutting calories, avoiding sugar, and still not losing weight with diabetes? Because if that's you, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not the problem. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Most diabetic diet advice focuses on what to eat: whole grains, low fat, frequent meals. But almost no one explains what your body is actually doing with that food. And that's where everything breaks down. Because when you have diabetes, especially type 2, your body is living in a state of chronically elevated insulin. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of insulin as a fat storage hormone, like a lock on your fat cells. When insulin is high, that lock is closed. Your body cannot access stored fat for energy. So even if you eat less, your body says, sorry, I can't burn fat. I'll just slow down your metabolism instead. That's why you feel constant hunger, low energy, cravings for carbs and sugar, and stubborn weight that won't move. Now here's the real problem. Many diabetic-friendly foods, like brown bread, oats, fruit juices, even small frequent meals, still keep insulin elevated throughout the day. So you're following the plan. But the plan is keeping you stuck. What the research shows is this: it's not just about blood sugar, it's about insulin control. Because when insulin stays high, fat burning is blocked. The liver keeps producing glucose, and weight loss becomes nearly impossible. But when insulin drops, everything changes. Your body shifts from storage mode to fat burning mode. And that's exactly what this diet plan is designed to do. In this video, I'll break down the biggest mistakes diabetics make when trying to lose weight, the exact foods that lower insulin, and a simple, practical eating structure you can follow daily. So you're not just managing diabetes, you're reversing the root cause behind it. And if this kind of clear, science-based breakdown is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you take control of your health naturally. Now, let's start with the first major mistake that's silently blocking fat loss in diabetics. Before we go deeper, let's map this out like a whiteboard, because once you understand these 6 principles, everything about diabetic weight loss will start to make sense. Here are the 6 science-backed insights we're going to break down. Why high insulin, not just high sugar, is the real reason you can't lose weight. Most people focus only on glucose, but insulin is the hormone that decides whether you store fat or burn it. How healthy carbs can still keep you stuck. Foods like brown bread, oats, and even fruits can spike insulin more than you realize, especially in an insulin-resistant body. Why eating too frequently blocks fat-burning snacking every 2 to 3 hours might stabilize sugar temporarily, but it keeps insulin elevated all day long. The power of protein and healthy fats in stabilizing blood sugar and reducing cravings. These nutrients don't just fill you up, they actively help lower insulin and improve metabolic flexibility. How timing your meals, intermittent fasting, can reset your metabolism. Giving your body breaks from food allows insulin to drop, unlocking stored fat for energy. The hidden role of the liver in diabetes and weight gain. A fatty, overworked liver keeps releasing glucose into your bloodstream, even when you're not eating. Now, here's the key idea I want you to hold on to as we go forward. Diabetes is not just a sugar problem. It's a metabolic traffic jam driven by insulin. And today, we're not just clearing symptoms, we're clearing the road, step by step. Let's start with the first and most misunderstood concept: why insulin is the real gatekeeper of fat loss. Let's start with the most important concept in this entire discussion. If insulin is high, you cannot burn fat. Not it's harder, not it's slower. You physiologically cannot access stored fat. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises. In response, your pancreas releases insulin. Now, insulin has one main job: move sugar out of the blood and store it. Some goes into muscles, but when those are full, which is very common in insulin resistance, the excess is sent to the liver and eventually stored as fat. Now, here's the part most people miss. Insulin doesn't just store fat, it also blocks fat burning. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body is a hybrid car. It can run on two fuels: sugar, quick energy; fat, long-term energy. But insulin acts like a switch. When insulin is high, the car is locked into sugar burning mode. Even if you have a full tank of fat, you can't use it. So what happens? You get hungry again, quickly, you crave carbs, and your energy crashes. Now, what the research shows is that people with type 2 diabetes often have chronically elevated insulin levels, even when fasting. This is called hyperinsulinemia, and it's one of the strongest drivers of weight gain, belly fat, cravings, and metabolic slowdown. So if your diet keeps triggering insulin spikes all day, you're essentially telling your body, stay in storage mode. Now let's shift to the solution, because this is where things get empowering. The goal is not just to reduce calories. The goal is to lower insulin strategically. Here's how you start doing that immediately. Reduce high-carb foods, especially refined carbs and sugars. Pair any carbs with protein and fat to slow absorption. Avoid constant snacking. Give insulin time to come down. Prioritize whole, unprocessed foods. Even small changes here can begin to shift your body from storage mode to fat-burning mode. And this is the foundation of a true diabetic weight loss diet plan, not restriction, regulation. And if this is clicking for you, if you're starting to see why things weren't working before, consider subscribing, because understanding your metabolism like this changes everything. Now, let's move to the next big mistake: the foods that are labeled healthy, but are quietly keeping your insulin high. Now let's talk about one of the biggest traps in diabetic weight loss. Foods that are labeled healthy, but are quietly keeping your insulin high. Because this is where most people get misled. You switch from white bread to brown bread, from sugary cereal to oats, from soda to fresh fruit juice, and you think, I'm doing everything right, so why is my weight not moving? Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your body doesn't care about labels like brown, organic, or whole grain. It responds to one thing: how quickly that food turns into glucose and how much insulin it triggers. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine pouring sugar into your bloodstream. Now, whether that sugar comes from white bread, brown bread, oats, honey, fruit juice, to your body, it's still glucose. Some sources are slower, yes, but in an insulin-resistant body, even slow carbs can create a prolonged insulin response. And that's the key. It's not just the spike, it's how long insulin stays elevated. What the research shows is that people with type 2 diabetes often have a reduced ability to handle carbohydrates, meaning even moderate carb intake can lead to extended blood sugar and insulin elevations. Now think about what happens when you eat foods like oats for breakfast, a fruit snack mid-morning, brown rice at lunch, tea with biscuits in the evening. You're not giving insulin a break. You're keeping it elevated all day long. And remember, when insulin stays high, fat burning stays off. Now let's bring this into a practical, real-world solution. Instead of asking, what is healthy? Start asking, what keeps my insulin low and stable? Here's a better approach. Replace oats or cereal with eggs, yogurt, or paneer-based meals. Swap fruit juice for whole fruit, or better yet, reduce fruit initially. Replace roti or rice with low-carb vegetables like spinach, cauliflower, zucchini. Add healthy fats like olive oil, butter, desi ghee, nuts to slow glucose absorption. Because when you reduce these hidden carb loads, something powerful happens. Your insulin begins to drop, your hunger stabilizes, and your body finally gets access to stored fat. This is not about eliminating carbs forever. It's about earning them back metabolically. First, you fix the system, then you expand. Now, let's move to the next critical mistake. The idea that eating more frequently helps control diabetes, when in reality, it may be doing the opposite. Now, let's address a piece of advice that sounds logical, but often backfires in diabetes. Eat small meals every 2-3 hours to control your blood sugar. At first glance, it makes sense. You eat, sugar goes up, you eat again, maybe it stays stable, but here's what's really going on inside your body. Every time you eat, even a small snack, you trigger insulin, even if it's just a biscuit with tea, a handful of peanuts, a piece of fruit. It still signals your body. We are in feeding mode. Store energy. Now let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine insulin as a light switch. Every time you eat, the switch turns on, and fat burning, it turns off. Now here's the problem. If you're eating 5 to 6 times a day, that switch never turns off. You are living in a constant storage state. So even if your total calories are controlled, your hormonal environment is not, and hormones always win. What the research shows is that allowing gaps between meals helps insulin naturally decline, which improves fat burning, metabolic flexibility, and even insulin sensitivity over time. In simple terms, your body needs time without food to heal. Now let's turn this into a practical, powerful strategy. Instead of grazing all day, start structuring your eating. Here's a simple protocol to begin. Move from 5 to 6 meals down to 3 structured meals per day. Eliminate random snacking in between. Allow at least 4 to 5 hours gap between meals. After dinner, aim for a 12-14 hour overnight fast. For example, breakfast at 9 a.m., lunch at 2 p.m., dinner at 7 p.m., no snacks in between. This gives your body extended windows of low insulin. And during those windows, fat burning turns on. Cravings begin to reduce, energy becomes more stable, and your metabolism starts to reset. Now, a quick note. If you're on diabetes medication, especially insulin or sulfonylureas, you need to adjust this gradually and preferably with medical guidance. Because as insulin levels improve, your medication needs may change. But for most people, this simple shift, removing snacks, is one of the fastest ways to unlock weight loss. And if this is opening your eyes, if you're starting to see why doing more wasn't working, consider subscribing. Because real health transformation doesn't come from more effort. It comes from better understanding. Now, let's move to what you should actually be eating. The role of protein and healthy fats in stabilizing your system and accelerating fat loss. Now that we've removed the biggest blockers, let's talk about what actually builds a fat-burning, diabetes-friendly diet, protein and healthy fats. Because this is where the shift happens, from constant hunger to stable energy to real, sustainable fat loss. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When you eat carbohydrates alone, especially refined ones, they digest quickly. Glucose rises, insulin spikes, and then it crashes. That crash is what drives hunger within 2 to 3 hours, sugar cravings, energy dips, overeating later in the day. Now compare that to a meal built around protein and fats. Protein does something powerful. It stimulates satiety hormones like GLP-1 and peptide YY, which tell your brain, I'm full, I don't need more food. At the same time, healthy fats slow down digestion. So glucose enters your bloodstream gradually, not all at once. The result? Lower insulin spikes, longer-lasting energy, reduced cravings, better blood sugar control. What the research shows is that higher protein diets improve insulin sensitivity, preserve muscle mass during weight loss, and significantly reduce overall calorie intake without conscious restriction. Now let me simplify this with a whiteboard-style idea. Think of protein as your foundation and fat as your fuel stabilizer. When both are present, your body feels safe. And when your body feels safe, it stops demanding constant food. Now let's bring this into a practical daily structure. Every meal you eat should answer one question. Where is my protein? Here are strong protein options: eggs, chicken, beef, fish, paneer, Greek yogurt, lentils in moderation depending on tolerance. Now add healthy fats: desi ghee, butter, olive oil, nuts and seeds, avocado if available, and combine them with low-carb vegetables: spinach, cauliflower, broccoli, zucchini, cucumber. Here's an example meal: grilled chicken, plus sautéed vegetables in olive oil, or eggs cooked in butter, plus side of spinach or paneer with mixed vegetables. Simple, stable, powerful. Now here's an important point. Don't fear fats. Fats do not spike insulin significantly. In fact, they help keep it low and stable. And that's exactly what your body needs to unlock fat burning. So instead of chasing low-fat diets, start building low-insulin meals. Because when your meals stabilize your hormones, your results become predictable. Now, let's move into one of the most powerful tools in this entire plan. Not just what you eat, but when you eat. Because timing can completely reset your metabolism. Now we move into one of the most powerful and often underestimated tools for diabetic weight loss. Not just what you eat, but when you eat. Because timing your meals correctly can do something most diets cannot. It allows insulin to drop deeply and consistently. And when that happens, your body finally gets the signal. Now, we burn fat. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every time you eat, insulin rises, and it stays elevated for several hours. But when you don't eat, insulin begins to fall. At first slowly, then more significantly. And once it drops below a certain level, your body switches fuel sources, from glucose to stored fat. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your body like a kitchen. When food is constantly coming in, you keep cooking fresh meals. You never touch the food stored in the freezer. But when you stop bringing in new food, now your body says, let's use what we already have. That stored fat becomes your energy. This is the essence of intermittent fasting. Now, what the research shows is that time-restricted eating can improve insulin sensitivity, reduce fasting insulin levels, promote fat loss, especially visceral fat, and even support liver health. And remember, for diabetics, this is critical because your goal is not just weight loss. It's metabolic repair. Now let's make this practical and safe. You don't need extreme fasting. You need consistent structure. Start here. Finish dinner by 7 to 8 p.m. Delay breakfast to 9 to 10 a.m. That creates a 16-hour fasting window. This is called a 16.8 pattern. 16 hours fasting, 8-hour eating window. Within that window, eat 2 to 3 structured meals, no snacking. Focus on protein plus fats plus low-carb vegetables. During the fasting period, water is essential. You can have black coffee or green tea, no sugar. Add a pinch of salt if you feel low energy. Now, a very important note. If you're diabetic and taking medication, especially insulin, you must monitor your blood sugar closely because as your insulin levels improve, your medication needs may drop. And that's a good sign, but it needs to be managed safely. Now, here's what most people notice within days of doing this correctly: reduced hunger, more stable energy, fewer cravings, gradual, consistent weight loss. Because your body is no longer dependent on constant food, it becomes metabolically flexible. It can switch between fuel sources, and that is a sign of true metabolic health. So remember this. It's not just about eating less. It's about giving your body time to use what it already has. Now, let's go one level deeper, because there's a hidden organ driving a lot of this dysfunction. And if you don't fix the liver, you'll always feel like your body is working against you. Now, let's talk about the most overlooked organ in diabetes and weight loss: your liver. Because if insulin is the signal, the liver is the factory behind the scenes. And when this factory is overloaded, everything starts to malfunction. Here's what's really going on inside your body. In a healthy system, your liver has a simple job: store excess glucose as glycogen, release glucose when your body needs energy. But in insulin resistance, that system breaks down. Over time, due to excess sugar, refined carbs, and frequent eating, the liver becomes fatty. This is called non-alcoholic fatty liver. Now, here's where things get serious. A fatty liver doesn't listen to insulin properly. So even when insulin is high, the liver keeps producing and releasing glucose into the bloodstream. This is why many diabetics notice high fasting blood sugar, even without eating, difficulty losing belly fat, constant metabolic resistance. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your liver like a warehouse. In a healthy state, it stores packages neatly and sends them out when needed. But in diabetes, the warehouse is overfilled, disorganized, and constantly leaking boxes, even when no new orders are coming in. That leakage is glucose entering your bloodstream unnecessarily. So even if you're eating less, your body is still getting sugar from the liver, and insulin stays elevated to deal with it. Now, what the research shows is that reducing liver fat can significantly improve insulin sensitivity and even reverse early-stage type 2 diabetes. So the real question becomes, how do we fix the liver? Here's the protocol. Reduce sugar and refined carbs aggressively. Eliminate fructose-heavy sources, especially fruit juices, sugary drinks. Use intermittent fasting. This directly reduces liver fat. Prioritize protein and healthy fats. Stay hydrated. Water supports detox and metabolic function. Optional supportive nutrients: magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, and one more powerful tool: movement after meals. Even a 10-15-minute walk after eating can help your muscles absorb glucose. Reducing the burden on your liver. Now, here's the key takeaway I want you to remember. You don't just have a blood sugar problem. You have a liver energy management problem. Fix the liver, and blood sugar starts to normalize. Fix the liver, and fat loss becomes possible again. This is why some people feel like their body is working against them. It's not. It's just overwhelmed. But the good news? The liver is incredibly responsive. Give it the right environment, and it begins to heal faster than you think. Now, let's bring all of this together and turn it into a clear, simple action plan you can start today. Let's step back and connect everything we've just uncovered, because by now you should see something clearly. This was never just about calories. It was never just about sugar. This is about insulin, timing, and metabolic control. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When insulin stays high, fat burning is blocked. The liver keeps releasing glucose. Hunger and cravings stay elevated, and weight loss feels impossible. But when you lower insulin strategically and consistently, everything begins to shift. Your body accesses stored fat, energy becomes stable, blood sugar improves, and weight loss becomes natural, not forced. Now let's simplify this into a clear, practical action plan you can start immediately. Step 1, remove the hidden triggers. Cut down sugar, refined carbs, processed foods, even healthy carbs like juices, excess fruits, and refined grains. Step 2, structure your meals. 2 to 3 meals per day. No snacking in between. 4 to 5 hour gaps between meals. Step 3, build every meal around protein, plus healthy fats, eggs, meat, fish, paneer, yogurt, ghee, butter, olive oil, nuts. Add low-carb vegetables for fiber and nutrients. Step 4, use fasting as a tool. Start with a 12-14-hour overnight fast. Progress to 14 to 16 hours if comfortable. Step 5, support your liver. Stay hydrated. Walk after meals. Reduce fructose and processed foods. Now here's the truth most people never hear. You don't need more discipline. You need a better metabolic strategy, because when your hormones are aligned, your body works with you, not against you. So here's your challenge. Pick just one change from this video and apply it today. Maybe it's removing snacks. Maybe it's adding more protein. Maybe it's extending your fasting window. Start small, but start now and observe your body, because your body will respond. And once you see that response, momentum builds and everything becomes easier. If this video helped you understand your body at a deeper level, if it gave you clarity instead of confusion, like the video and subscribe, because I post content like this every day to help you take control of your health naturally, sustainably, and intelligently. Your body is not broken. It just needs the right signals, and now you know how to give them.